and Jihan. Oh my god, wait. You got me stunned when you said episode 11 of Levna Clock. This is our 11th episode, G.
Yeah, it's our 11th episode. It's our
so cool.
It's our 11th episode. It's our.
Yeah, I mean, come on, it was cool when I said it. Levna Clock episode. Sure. Yes, I hear you on that pun.
Hey, I tried, okay? It doesn't always work out, but you gotta try.
Oh my god. Ah, damn. 11 episodes thus far. Damn. Congrats, dude. Made it 11 episodes.
Yeah. I feel like we've come pretty far. Although it's just been 11 episodes, we've been trying to make every 2 days or every 3 days one video, and we've been learning and making mistakes and learning from our mistakes and trying to improve with every video we make, and we hope that we give you quality content.
Yeah, I mean, it's been crazy. Like, come on. I mean, even today, just like real talk before we start today's episode, we actually recorded 2 episodes. Tried to record 2 episodes prior to this, and twice faced a lot of difficulties with getting things to work right and all. But I mean, it's all said and done. I mean, if you're seeing this, means it was a success. So yay! But man, we're here.
We didn't try to record 2 episodes. We tried to record the same episode twice.
Yes, that's
But
true.
failed.
That's true.
Miserably.
Yeah.
Because
My goodness.
sometimes we have connectivity issues.
Low-key, I'm seeing a
sometimes
bit of
we have
like latency
technical
issues. I
issues,
don't
like
know
our
if
phones
you can see it
overheat
as well.
and shit like that. And
Yeah.
that's just the way it is,
Yeah. Oh my god.
We hit snags
Crazy.
every once in a while, but we try to make the best out of our situations. So, Yuvern,
Yeah.
you have something for me today, because I don't actually know what our podcast episode today is about. So, take it away.
Right. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Wait. Can we just wait? Right before I start, I have to just check. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah, we all G.
Okay. Good. Yes. Okay. All good. So yes. So today's episode was interesting because I wanted to bring something up. I sort of like start a new segment, I guess. Something that I thought of while having a conversation with a friend. And all of a sudden I thought, hey, this would be cool. This. It's okay. We are allowed to have friends outside.
Who is this friend? Why don't I hear a name? Like, why is it? Oh, I had this conversation with my friend. Like,
We'll keep it private, okay?
whatever.
We'll talk about it after that.
Okay, go on.
Anyway, so here's the thing. I wanted to bring in a new segment, and I thought that this would be interesting. And I mean, after this episode, please, any feedback would be great. But without any ado, today's episode we're going to start a segment called "What If," and it's where we sort of bring up the possibilities of an alternate universe per se, or in any sense, like a what if sense. This could come in any possible things, and there will be many episodes discussing many what ifs.
Okay.
But today's what if is going to be a rather simple one, but it's kind of fun and interesting, I guess. Let me know what you think about it. So today's what if episode is: what if we live our lives when we fall asleep, and what if the life that we live while we are awakened are the mundane things that we do to sustain ourselves, but we only live a life when we go to bed, when we dream.
Wait. So what you're saying is that the so-called world that we enter when we dream or when we sleep, that is reality, and what is happening right now as we speak is an illusion. It's not real. Is the dream. Like, is that what you're saying?
No, I mean, if that was what I was saying, then it's literally the same thing, No, I guess what I'm saying is the life that we physically live to keep ourselves awake and alive, like the system that we have right now, the job that we do and all, is what we do to sustain ourselves. It's bare minimum, It's imagine if the life that we live awakened is the one that we live to keep ourselves alive, but where we go to live the life is when we fall asleep.
So what you're saying is that we are meant to serve some kind of higher purpose, but that higher purpose is only achieved through our sleep.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Damn, this guy. I thought he was gonna ask like, what if I was born with 3 hands or whatever. Straight up like all Black Mirror on me. But that's the kind of
Come
conversations
on.
we like to have, and
Uh,
I'm gonna try and
I mean, who do you think we are? 3 legs.
bad joke, but okay. So
Okay.
what if all of this? What if while I'm awake, I'm just living a life in order to fuel my body, to fuel my soul, to fuel my heart, in order for me to prepare myself for something greater, something bigger while I'm asleep, right? That's a question. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have an answer to your own question?
I don't. I mean, that's something that we'll explore right now. But there is a concept that was portrayed in a book and a movie that sort of is a line parallel with today's question, which is: have you read this book or watched the movie Ready Player One, Steven Spielberg? Right. It's a good thing that because I haven't watched it either, but I know that in that movie, what they do is that they live a life in a corrupt world where the world has gone to riddance, but where people go to socialize and to so-called live is in a virtual reality where they put on a VR headset and they live their lives per se there. So that's kind of what along the lines we are looking at. If the audience is struggling to understand what I am struggling to articulate, What words, Jesus.
See, this is why I don't let Yuvern prepare episodes. This
I will.
Why you
Oh,
so
shit.
speechless? Oh.
Come on.
I'm
It'll
joking.
be fine.
I'm joking. It's actually a good question. It's actually something that I feel like we will talk about in regular conversation. And you know what?
Yeah.
It's something that I have spoken about countless times with my friends in the past, and we've always talked about the concept
See,
of.
I'm not the only one with friends outside of 2 hours, huh?
At least you know who I'm referring to, okay? I don't even know who you're referring to. Don't even at me right now. So, some of the heat from episode 9 has retained all the way. Yeah, there's lots of tension between you and I right now. We have a pretty unstable relationship. Either one of us can get triggered at any second.
Yeah.
But yeah. We've talked about different scenarios in which if you watch the movie The Matrix, it's when this so-called life is a life that's some kind of a simulation. This is all just numbers. We're all in some kind of a computer program, some kind of a simulation, and that when you unplug, you wake up into a kind of a kind of reality, a kind of real world. This in fact. This entire idea of realities and illusions has existed since the dawn of time. Since Plato talked about the cave allegory, where there's a whole idea about the cave, where you can look it up on the internet. I think that me going into it will only waste a lot of time. Even earlier than Plato, in terms of Hinduism, we talked about Maya, which is illusion, and reality, and how is it that we can get rid of this illusion and live our lives aware and not ignorant to this illusion. So to me, what you're asking me is what you're saying to me is that what if this life is what I think now is real is really just a process in order for me to fuel something much bigger, some bigger purpose that I'm supposedly achieving while I'm asleep. The question is, why then don't we know what's going on while we are asleep? We dream, we enter different realms. I see different weird. Sometimes I have the weirdest dreams. Okay, I'm traveling back in time, forward in time, seeing this animal, this monster. I see 2 Jihans, 5 Jihans. Sometimes like I see the weirdest things, and psychology can't explain everything. I feel like as a psychology student myself, like I've read enough journals to know that people have tried to interpret dreams as so-called inception and all that, but it doesn't always result in the most accurate outcomes. So, to you, what to you happens when we sleep?
To me, okay, in reality, I don't dream a lot. A lot of my sleep just involves pitch blackness and then waking up. So I have very little memory on the dreams I have. But to me, if I were to think of it that if I were to live my life when I was dreaming, I also seem to associate it with, have you heard of hive intelligence, where minds are connected? So like the bees have hive intelligence, where if one bee learns something, there's sort of a hive intelligence that all the bees learn it as well.
Wow.
And people, like there are research centers and research centers that research centers that try to implement hive intelligence into robots, where if they teach one robot something, it syncs with all the other robots, that they can all mimic the same thing. And in that sense, bringing it back to this, how I perceive being able to live in a dream would include a certain sense of hive intelligence we have amongst ourselves. So in a sense that when I go to sleep, I am subconsciously connected to you, that I could see you in my dream. So if I were to dream about you, it's not merely a version of you that has been embedded in my head, but the real you connected subconsciously with each other. That if we are both asleep, we meet in another realm together and we live a life while dreaming. And in that sense, the reason why I brought it down to dreams per se was because when it's in our head, the possibilities are limitless. It's almost as if we were to meet in another realm, and if we were to get from one place to another, it's not just about getting into a car or driving. It's that we could vision flying there, and we will be able to see ourselves flying there. And in that sense, yeah, what if we could build a community that lives a life in a dream, where we are no longer bounded by the where technology, or where the human limits ourselves in the reality.
Because of the nature of the way I speak, 5 minutes before the episode, Yuvern has given me a disclaimer as to not make this episode a heavy episode. A disclaimer that Yuvern himself has opted to ignore. But go ahead.
I told you, hello. I told you if it happens, it happens.
Fine.
But I told you it doesn't have to be heavy. Yeah.
So then you will have to allow me to enter my my.
Sure. By all means.
Okay. From the perspective of Hinduism, from the perspective of spirituality and the Vedas, you and I are not separate. You and I are one being. You, me, every other living creature, everything in existence, everything that is not in existence, are all one being, one consciousness, one energy. In a sense,
yeah,
like what you said, that this hive mentality, this hive energy, everything resonates at a specific frequency. It's all physics. It's all science. The way bees learn is that this is what I am not just assuming. This is what I think is the science behind it. That when a bee learns something, they have this dance where they emit a certain frequency, and all the other bees resonate with that frequency, and therefore that's how they learn. All of us are emitting frequency right now. As we speak, as we exist, as we go on with our day, we are emitting frequencies because we are all particles that are vibrating in a fixed space. And we are emitting it's just physics. We learn this in science. And in Hinduism, they teach us that we are all one being, one consciousness, one energy. So in relation to this, to our discussion today, is that when we are asleep, our minds can become so calm, so as to mediate, to control the frequency of your mind, that it resonates with some higher frequency of the universe or whatever. So if you and I are asleep and our minds are the same frequency, then technically you and I are in resonance. So it's like the TV remote and the decoder, So when you're in resonance, I can change the channel in the decoder using the remote, right? So then you and I would exist at that particular plane, and I would be able to understand you, you'd be able to understand me without us even speaking.
Yeah.
So that's what I understand from what you are telling me. Am I close at all?
Yeah, you're definitely close, but I guess it's two different people trying to understand something, you know. So we're going to associate it with different things, and I think that's what makes this good. Discussing a what if from you and I who grew up on, it's so weird that you and I grew up at the same place but at the same time so differently, that we grew up learning so many different things, that when we come together to discuss a certain topic, our approach is drastically different. Like, associating it with spirituality would be the last thing I would do if I were to think about this. But it's nice when we talk about this and hearing your side of it and it all associating, it's amazing. But to add on to that, I feel like there's a certain sense of that singularity, that unity that you spoke about, that how we are all, if we can achieve a mind of the same frequency with another where we resonate, right? Do you think it's possible to make that happen? Do you think that as we are bounded by this universe, on all sense, through science and through spirituality, do you think that if we were to do it, if we were to go to sleep, and if we were to able to imagine being able to socialize in our dreams, imagine being able to gather at parties in our dreams, imagine being able to do all of those things. I mean, it does not specifically have to mean being able to just merely communicate, but imagine living a whole virtual life in our dreams. Do you see that being something that is possible with time?
Definitely, I see it as possible simply because human beings don't yet know the powers of their mind. We are limited by the three dimensions that we live in, when in reality we are so much more than that. You know, we are bounded by our own concept of time, and that we will probably spoken about in episode 10. That we create these walls around us. We try to conceptualize our reality so much that we are restricting ourselves from becoming what we can be, what our true potential is. You know, this is just my perspective. I've read stories, I've read people's experiences when it comes to spiritual experiences, that they look within their minds. They look within their minds. The issue with spirituality is that there's so much taboo that everyone just assumes it's about it, that it's associated with some religion, or it's some paganism, shamanism, Mayanism. Spirituality is what connects it all. Spirituality is what finds truth in every single one of these religions and puts it together and helps you look within yourself rather than relying on some external source. Because the true God from my perspective is ourselves. We are the universe. We are God. The same things, the same atoms, the same particles that make up the stars in the sky are the same things that make up my atoms. That's a fact. That's a scientific fact. So I am the universe, and therefore I have the power to achieve miracles. I have the power to achieve spectacular things. It's just that I have yet to look within myself and explore the powers of my own mind, simply because we are caught up with this three-dimensional world. So my answer is yes, I definitely think it's possible, but I also think it's unnecessary for us to look at it while we dream, solely while we are asleep. Why do we have to do that when we can live that very reality whilst being awake at any time? We can live this life of being one with everyone, not viewing each other as separate whilst being awake. Why do we have to do that while we are asleep? That's actually the step that the human race needs to take in order for us to move to the next step, in order for us to understand each other better, in order for us to learn that you and I are not different, that you and I are the same, just going through different journeys, looking at life from different perspectives. Just as the way you and I tried to conceptualize this idea, you used your own way, I use spirituality. We're looking at the same truth from different angles, right? That's just what human lives are. We are all one soul, one being, just in different reflections, in different forms. And we're just, in reality, we are one being. This is just my perspective. and which is why my answer is yes. My answer, the what if there's a so-called world when we are asleep. To me, that what if is completely unnecessary, because that what if is right here, right now. This life is what we can turn around. This life is what we can utilize using our mind
Yeah.
to achieve peace and unity amongst everybody, each and every soul.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went through a very weird tangent.
Yeah, that took a whole journey. But yes, the answer is yes. Anyway, so but to add on to that, I actually wanted to add something on. You know, in a sense that I do agree with you that it is something that we don't need to conceptualize to it being in a virtual world, something that can only be achieved in our subconscious. But the way I saw it, it was in a sense that what if this world becomes too corrupt, too beyond repair, I guess, was kind of the thing I was going, and I think was kind of what, if I'm not wrong, I'm basing all of this off a trailer that I saw. It's kind of what happens in Ready Player One as well. It's when the real world becomes impossible to live in. People resonate. People resort to the new virtual reality that exists. But this illusionary daytime that a lot of people currently live in, you know, there are a lot of people who, to those of you, and we do sympathize and empathize. I want to make that clear. Like, we do empathize that sometimes the real world can get pretty difficult to live in and to cope with everything that goes on that's beyond our control. But I think it's just as important to realize that the current day time that we have and the current reality that we have is as real as it can get. And I think it's just as important, like you said, to use this opportunity to utilize it to its full potential and to make it you know, like, to make it what it is. When we talk about the what if we can go and socialize in our dream, we could do that in our own lives right now, and we should be making full use of that. We should be making full use of achieving peace and attaining unity amongst all of us, you know. And I mean, I know people argue that the world is the safest and the most progress we've made thus far, but like, there are countries with wars still going on, you know.
Not just wars, you know. I mean, wars are one thing, wars are one really bad thing, but looking at it from an eagle's eye view, you know. Look at the system. There are people who are being exploited by other people, you know. There's a sense of one person has more power than the other through the means of income, through the means of money. If I am richer than you, I technically have more power than you, and that should not be it. That should not be reality. And that's just the problem with the modern day capitalistic world that needs fixing, in my opinion.
Yes. We definitely need to come back to capitalism one day and talk about the system and what we think of the system. And I think that will associate itself with a lot of things that we talk about. And I think today's episode has really put things in perspective, you know. I really like I mean, let us know if you enjoyed this segment. But I think I really enjoyed answering this what if, and
I like your
the possibilities are endless.
I'm just sorry if I'm sorry if I went on a tangent that's too far off our main topic.
No,
it's just
no. I mean, you didn't.
It's just
That's
the way
the whole
I
point
make
of all
sense
of this.
of everything. You know?
Yeah. You didn't. You don't worry about it. It's what the episode's all about. It's hearing each other on these things, and hopefully it resonating with those listening to this. And I think it's a beautiful thing, and I'm looking forward to many more what ifs.
You know what? Me too. And that being said, we hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Thank you for sticking around with us this far.
Yeah.
We love you guys. Till the next time.
Yes. Till tomorrow. Cheers.
Bye.